Evan Jordan. Well, we're back on another episode. We're talking some sports here. We're back on another episode of PWTB. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Can't really complain, honestly.
I'm doing good. It's a great Friday night. We got vacation coming up. By the way, check out the PWTV side topics. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit, but no, it's a good Friday night and ready to talk about a lot of sports.
Yeah. How was your guys' week?
Um, Pretty boring, I would say, actually. Except for, playoff like we've had playoff baseball, so that's been kind of entertaining. I
And
like the
hockey's
playoff.
back. Hockey's back too. Can't
Hockey
forget
is
that.
back. Hockey is back. I know Jake's Panthers are 2-0 and my Penguins are 2-0. So, that's fun.
So I don't really follow the NHL a lot, but I do have a fantasy hockey team. One of my buddies who's a big NHL fan wrote me into this. I have a question to you guys. Why is there no games today on a random Friday?
That is a great question.
I don't know why.
I
Yeah.
actually
That
do
is
not know the
interesting.
answer to that
That's
question.
interesting. But every single team plays tomorrow. All
Yeah,
30.
maybe that's why they wanted to set it up that way because usually they don't have a day like that. I was curious about that because I was going to go set my lineup and it's like, okay, none of my team is playing. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's
So
Yeah,
crazy.
I
no
think it's
points
just
today.
like a thing that they do when no one plays one day, and then all 32 teams play the next day, something like that.
That's pretty cool. But to answer your question, yeah, my week has been pretty good. It's been busy at work down at the simulator in O'Hare, but we're making it. So that's all we
Oh,
can ask for.
definitely. I'm working at Outback right now. Working in any restaurant is pretty hectic no matter what. So it's really been getting me busy this week. So but anyway, let's switch gears. Let's talk to some Miami Hurricanes football right now. Um, obviously we're 5-0 right now. We have a game against Louisville. Then we don't lead the state to November 1st, but that November 1st game is a big game. That's at SMU at in Dallas. Obviously Rent Lastly, the head coach at SMU, used to be OC at Miami. So that'd be a pretty interesting one. But my question to you guys, and Evan, I'll go to you first here. What does Miami still have to prove to be number one in the country?
And I love that you said still because you sent that when we were doing figuring out the topics and all that. And it's not what do the Miami Hurricanes have to do to prove to get to number one? What do they still have to prove? Meaning that Jake thinks that they've already proved enough. So I'm sure we'll hear about that. I
I think
think the
we should
Miami
have been number one after we beat FSU. I feel like
you
we would have been if FSU hadn't scored those two fourth quarter touchdowns.
Okay, so we'll get into a little bit about that. I think there is a very good team ranked number one. So more on that in a little bit. But yeah, I think I find this still funny because I that's a great win over FSU. Miami, honestly, I know the score got a little closer at the end, but Miami honestly handled them pretty easily. That's a pretty good FSU team this year. So they're playing good, don't get me wrong, but they have not beaten any world beaters yet. They have not beaten any playoff teams yet. They have not beaten a top five team yet.
Can I
And
uh can I say something? Can I say something? When they did beat Notre Dame, they were ranked number six. I don't know if that really counts right now,
okay, that's fair. Yes,
but
Notre Dame at the
Notre
beginning of
Dame
the
was
year
number
was
six. Notre Dame was number six at the time, and preseason, and Florida was preseason number 13, if I remember right.
okay. They were ranked pretty high preseason. Obviously, we see a lot of preseason rankings shifting around right now, but that is a credit. Notre Dame is a good win. I would say right now they are not a playoff team, but I would not be surprised if they snuck back into the mix. Point is, Miami has some really good wins. That's why they're getting respect. That's why they're all the way at number two. I don't think they have any excellent wins yet this year. And you got to look at Ohio State at number one. Ohio State, to my knowledge, I think the most points they've given up was to Ohio, the University of Ohio, and they only scored 10 points on them. Everybody else has not been able to. Okay, Jordan's. What number is that? I'm
Nine.
okay. My 9 points. My phone was blocking it. Sorry, on the other end, but good fact check right there, quick. But yeah, so I would still give it to Ohio State. I think Miami's playing very good, and all they need to do to stay two and maybe even get to one is just keep winning games. Ohio State's in a bloodbath. in the Big Ten. The SEC is going to keep beating each other. If Miami and the ACC, which is still a very strong conference, if they can just keep winning games and stay undefeated, I wouldn't be surprised if they get to number 1. I just haven't seen the big knockout win yet, and but Miami will have plenty of chance to prove that.
So Jake asked what Miami has to prove to be number 1, and to me, honestly, Miami doesn't have to prove anything. Um, the reason to me they're not number 1, at least in the AP poll, is because of who is ranked number 1 in the AP poll. Ohio State has allowed 25 points in 5 games this year, which is just absolutely remarkable. I get they haven't, played the, toughest schedule in the country, and that's, you can only beat who's in front of you. You can only play who's on your schedule. I get like, all that. 25 points in 5 games is still absolutely remarkable, especially with what they had to replace from last year's national championship winning team. And that's another thing. I, to me, every team that wins the national title should be number 1 to begin the next season. But that's, that's not my decision. So I don't really think Miami has a lot to I don't think Miami has anything to prove at this point. It's just Ohio State has looked like the number 1 team in the country after winning the national title, and until someone proves me wrong, they're going to be number 1.
And my thing is, Jordan, you say Ohio State will stay at number 1 until proven wrong. I think that, this Miami Hurricanes team, and I'm not being biased here at all. I think this Hurricanes team is one of, if not the best team in the country. I feel like if you put Miami and Ohio State, if you max them up right now, Miami, I think Miami would beat Ohio State. Not by that much, maybe by a field goal, but I still think Miami would beat Ohio State.
And here's the thing with Miami, right? You I mentioned the defending national champ should always be number 1, like all of that. Like Miami looks a lot better not like a lot better from last year. They still had a really good offense last year, but you bring in Carson Beck, he's having a great year. Malachi Tony, C.J. Daniels, the defense looks way better than last year. So going back to my point, I don't think Miami has anything to prove. It's just again, Ohio State is number 1 until proven otherwise.
We've made a lot of
Yeah, I
jokes
mean, you
on this
bring in
show
Corey.
about, wait, Jake, I want to make a quick point. We've made a lot of jokes on the show, I know, about like Miami going 8-5 and going to the whatever bowl, the Florida.com, like, joke of a bowl, right? But like
The
I will agree with Jordan. I think obviously Jake probably thinks this too. This Miami team does look a little bit better. They look a little bit more sound. They are still committing some funny penalties, but like the defense especially looks sound when that's not been passed. I don't know if that's Mario Cristobal credit or should I maybe hiring the right coordinators or something like that. But Miami does look a lot better this year. They just still need to find a really good team to prove it against. But I think it'd be a good game versus Ohio State.
I mean, I'm not gonna try and say it's gonna be Miami, Ohio State in the national championship, but I feel like those are the 2 best teams in the country right now, with Oregon being very close as well. So
Yeah, no, Evan, I'm gonna tell you, it's a Mario Cristobal thing, but it's also bringing in the right DC for the job. Bringing in Corey Heatherman, obviously, very respected DC, very known DC around college football. He's been really good. Obviously the defense, obviously Miami's defense has been really good, giving up 13 to Florida. I think it was like 13 to Florida, all the way up until the fourth quarter. I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter. Defense is playing lights out against FSU. Obviously Bethune-Cookman, not really that tough of an opponent, so you're gonna most likely shut them out. We allowed 3 points, but you know what? Hey, that's fine. And then obviously against Notre Dame, and then yeah. So I mean, bringing Corey Heatherman was the right man for the job. So